Welcome back. Welcome in to the Lions Share podcast. Fresh off a bye week, the Lions head south to that other city that begins with a D. After last year's ref show and pseudo loss in the Big D, can the Lions bring that controlled theory that Dan alluded to into Jerry World and get their first win in Dallas since 2011? Well, you're going to find out next on this breakdown. We're going to talk predictions, a look ahead at NFL Week 6. Hard to believe we're already at Week 6. But first, let's go Tigers. Tigers off a win today against the Guardians. Puts them ahead 2-1 in that series with an opportunity to close it out Thursday the 10th. If not, Game 5 on Saturday. But Detroit's hot right now. We love that. Saw Amon-Ra St. Brown was in attendance with his girl at this one. I'm sure there were others out there as well, but that one just caught my eye. But let's go Tigers. October, baseball, it's here. So we're a football podcast, but hey, when the Tigers are hot, or the Pistons are hot, or the Red Wings are hot, we got to mention them. We'd be remiss if we didn't.
Yeah, everybody but the Pistons. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, we're still working on that. One team at a time. We're trying to get back to those glory days of some of these teams. The Lions have never had the glory days, so this is new for us. But first, before we talk about the game between the Cowboys and the Lions, we have the big news of the week. We've got big news, breaking news. Frank Ragnow has punched Dan Campbell. Andrew, did you catch this news? This is crazy. I don't know that I've ever seen a player or heard a player punch his own coach and not get suspended.
Yeah, that was something, and he caught him by surprise, too. He said he kind of took him off his feet, pinned him against the wall, I even believe.
Someone punches me against the wall, then I get punched again and realize it's Frank trying to show that his pec is great. That's his way of telling me, look how strong I am, it's good. So that's Dan Campbell today on Frank Ragnow's status, and if anybody can't read between the lines there, that means Frank Ragnow is good to go in this one. He has shown Dan that, that slightly torn pec is good to go. And if we want to talk injuries real quick, it's pretty clean for the Lions, which is nice. That's what you want to see out of a bye week. The Lions come out of it with a fully clean slate as it is right now. Dan had mentioned that Frank is back at practice. Brian Branch, who sat out the last one, is also back. It's very clean for the Lions. On the other hand, for the Cowboys, it is not so clean, and we'll talk about that. They're out a lot of key members. They are pretty banged up right now, and that's part of their keys into this matchup. Lions got to exploit that in Dallas this weekend. Real quick, before we talk about the breakdown of the game, as we always do, we mention who the shareholders voted for. Shareholders voted for BAM Player of the Week, and that was Jared Goff. Congratulations, Jared Goff. We'll give you a little congratulations from the sound effect man there, Tommy himself. He wins, and we'll see who comes out with BAM Player of the Week this week against the Cowboys. So let's talk about it. Here are the details. Lions Cowboys on Sunday, 4:25 Eastern. You'll catch this one on Fox. Lions come in at 3.5 point favorites. It's kind of a discrepancy there between some of the betting markets. We don't have Mitch here. Should mention that too. Shout out to Mitch. He's out of town doing the Lord's work out there. We miss him and he misses you all, but you'll hear from him later in this episode. But he's usually the betting one here. We've got over-under sitting at 52.5. Let me just check that quickly. Yeah, still 52.5. Lions at 3-point favorites in this one. Kind of odd to see the Lions favored in Dallas. That doesn't happen a lot. We did mention the last time the Lions beat these guys in Dallas was 2011. The last time the Lions beat the Cowboys in general, this was in Ford Field in 2013. Of course, last year, we all remember what it was. I'm still not fully over last year's performance in Dallas from the refs. Good news is we've got a better ref crew, and we'll tell you who that is in just a moment. But real quick, before we talk about the breakdown, last season, the Lions off of their bye last year, they won 41-38 against the Los Angeles Chargers. That was a big showing from the offense in that one. Defense struggled in that one, but a win is a win. Dan Campbell as a head coach for the Lions, 1-1-1 off of a bye. So he's going to look to become over 500 after the bye here. He's got a win, a loss, and a tie. He's looking to get number 2 in the win column here. And shout out to Mitch. He mentioned this one at the last part of the episode last week. Dan sits at an even 500 as head coach of the Lions. So this is his opportunity to go positive off of the bye, but also positive above 500 for his career as Lions head coach with a win here in Dallas. So a lot riding on this one for the Lions. Lions come in at 3-1. They did what they needed to do in the first 4 games, and now they come out of the bye, and you want to always win out of a bye because what, Andrew? Good teams.
Win after a bye.
That's right, and that's what they're looking to do. So if we want to talk breakdown real quick, we're stated the obvious for the offense. That is the Lions. Dallas defense pretty banged up. Micah Parsons not practicing today. His status still unclear. A couple weeks ago, or a week or so ago, it really looked like he was going to be out. Now they're hinting at maybe he's going to play here. So that worries me a little bit that he could be playing. But if it sounds like if he does play, he might be on a pitch count coming in only on certain packages.
Well, that's one player that really wants to play against the Lions, and he's had no qualms about it. He says that nobody will go to Detroit. I think he's got no faith in the Lions faithful. So I'm sure he wants to play in this one. I'm glad to hear that he's hopefully not going to be there. That'd be a huge plus for both sides of the line because he is kind of a menace. He goes everywhere. He can't be stopped.
He is, in that talk for Defensive Player of the Year every year. He's got a huge contract, and he is that playmaker on that defense. They've got a couple of them, but he is the one that defense is built around. I'm counting off the top of my head: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 defensive players for, and not all of those guys are starters, of course, but 8 defensive players on the injury report for Dallas. And then a couple more on the offensive line, a guard and a tackle. But yeah, 8 or 9 guys on the injury report for Dallas, and certainly some of those guys are going to play. But Micah Parsons did not practice today, and a couple others did not practice. But we'll probably see some of these guys in uniform. But nonetheless, Dallas is beat up, and Detroit's got to take advantage of that. All signs, the Dallas, it's no secret out there. The pundits are all saying it. It's no secret that this defense is susceptible to the run, and what does Detroit do so greatly between the two backs and that offensive line? They run the ball really, really well. And there'll still be some opportunity through the air for that team as well with Goff and the wide receivers, but that's not to say that all of it is from the run game. But yeah, you're certainly going to have a lot of opportunity, and I like that. It's almost like a recipe for something too good, Andrew. Like, do you ever feel like going into a matchup when everything's in the Lions' favor? Not everything, but in this instance, it seems like it's a no-brainer that the Lions will be able to run the ball against Dallas. Does that concern you at all that it's so obvious that they should be able to run the ball?
It's been my concern with Lions of old, so hopefully this is a different organization and we're taking the step forward. But not so much on the defensive side of things. It's just backup players in general that worry me about Lions teams. You've seen it with backup quarterbacks. Apparently, if you have no tape on them, you have no idea what to do. They're just an elite athlete, elusive, can't be tackled, make elite throws against us. So hopefully these the backup defense for Dallas is not quite a backup quarterback of what we're used to seeing in regimes of past. I think the biggest one, obviously, going to be Parsons if he sits down. But yeah, you're right. On the ground should be Monty Gibbs, a 1-2 punch, no brainer. Hit Amon-Ra in stride, let him do his thing, and Jama once every so often over the top. That's what he does. Stretch the field. This seems too good to be true. I think the only thing we can add to what we would want there is Derek Barnes in this game. Give this guy a little bit of revenge. Unfortunately, still on the IR, not going to make it.
Not going to make the trip. Probably not even going to make the trip. Yeah, that's a great nugget for you to pull out of there. Who could forget Dak eluding Derek Barnes last year? Hit CeeDee Lamb for, I believe, was a 99-yarder. Tried to put that out of my memory, so thank you for bringing that back. But yeah, we would love to see Barnes in this one. We do miss him, and certainly going to be missing that linebacker core for games to come. But you want to go back to Parsons. He's dealing with that high ankle sprain, typically a longer thing. Typically, you would expect him to sit this game out, especially with it being week 6. We're getting further into the season where guys are going to start playing through these injuries. We're kind of at that fringe point right now. We're almost to that halfway point where guys start to just power through the injuries. Week 4 and prior, kind of like Ragnow did, sat that one out last game against the Seahawks. Just makes sense. It's a business decision for the team and for him. But as the season goes on, these guys are going to start playing more and more. But that's not to say that the backups, this is the NFL after all. That's not to say that the backups are any scrubs. This is the NFL. Next man up mentality is the mentality of all these teams. So they know they've got to be ready, and these guys aren't going to be, just rolling over on defense. But would love to see the Lions just, pound that rock. And hopefully that sound effect didn't drive you off the road. If we did, that's not our fault. You signed a waiver when you listened to this podcast. Sorry to hear it, but that might be a little loud for you. But pound the rock, man. Dallas, here's a key for me. Dallas on third down, one of the strongest defenses on third down. It's not the Dan Quinn defense anymore. This defense is not the staple that it once was with him at defensive coordinator, but still a solid defense, and they are really strong on third down. That's kind of where they hang their hat on. 6th in the league on third down defense. They get off the field on third down almost 60 to 70% of the time.
Do you have their stats for fourth down?
Fourth down defense?
Because they're going to need it this week.
So Dallas's defense against a team an offense going on fourth down, is that what I just want to clarify?
Correct.
Okay, so their defense, opponents are converting fourth down 72% of the time.
I love those favors for Dan Campbell, sir. You can stop us on third down. We got 4 of them.
We got 4, yeah. So their opponent's conversion rate on third down, 31% of the time. That's a really solid third down rate for a defense. Now, conversely, fourth down, they are ranked 27th. So just as good as their third down defense, their fourth down defense not there. It's a good point for you to bring that up. But also, I think these fourth down conversion rates get skewed a little bit because of tush pushes that have been brought into this league from Philly. So sometimes these 4th and 1s are almost 95% converted. So it does skew your fourth down rate up. But that's a great point for you to bring up. And the Lions sit at about 65%, 70% on the year for fourth down conversions. Going to try to keep that up in Dallas. And they didn't go for it once on fourth down against the Seahawks. I think that changes this week in Dallas. I think you'll see them at least go for 1. Don't you think, Andrew?
That's a no-doubter. I think the over-under's sitting at 2.5 right there.
It just feels like one of those games. It's not gonna be like the Seahawks game. Probably some more punts in this one for the Lions, and some more stops on that defense, especially on third down. Lions got to win third down. That's gonna be a key for me. And Ben Johnson, infamously last game against the Cowboys, we had the skipper reporting as eligible on the 2-point conversion to try to take the lead, win that game in Dallas. And, the crew, Brad Rogers crew there for the refs, totally blew it. And the Lions should have been walking out of there victorious. And we're still salty about that. Dan and the guys say they're not salty. It's not motivation, but it is. And so people are pointing at that as a troll, not necessarily a troll, I guess, but Dan and Ben would bring out a Decker or Skipper to report pass play again. I just don't see it being that obvious. It just seems too obvious for them to go back to that play.
I think they're going to bring it out, just not the pass out of it. They're
right,
definitely going to highlight it. Correct. Absolutely using that as the decoy duck there. They're going to try to get all eyes focused on them. This might be the Brock Wright leak out touchdown week. We are hoping for it.
Brock Wright is right. Yeah, it feels like this is an opportunity. Yeah, you bring that defense in with run, and then you hit him over the top for Brock Wright. Hopefully his speed can get him to the end zone. That'd be great. If not, it's easily a 30-40-yard play.
It's crazy, man. Paid Brock Wright all that money to stop him from going to San Fran. We gotta get some production out of him. Gotta get Sammy Laporte's back involved as well. This tight end room needs more offensive statistical production.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think they lean on that run, but also that there's going to be passes. Look for Jared to throw about, 25, 30 passes probably in this one, in that range. I think if he's throwing over 30, we got a problem. Lean on that run game and then hit St. Brown on those third downs that you need to pick up. Hit J-Mo deep at least once. And maybe there's a trick play in there. And then, like you mentioned, Sam Laporta, would love to see him come out of the bye clean, healthy, this whole team clean and healthy, fresh, and kind of build off of what you did against the Seahawks and continue to grow in that form. Similarly, for the defense, I've got that as my number one key. We've seen this secondary specifically, but the defense overall on the improvement, trending in the right directions, seeing progress, showing progress, especially from the secondary, that young secondary. Had some trouble against the Seahawks, put up a lot of points on that defense. I'm looking for this defense to step it up out of the bye and take that next step to not necessarily being a top 5 defense, not even a top 10, just not putting up so many points, not so nickel and dime. Because this team that is Dallas and Dak, here we go. They pass a ton. They pass a ton, more than almost than any other team. I think they're second in passing attempts per game. They throw the ball. Their run game is not strong. But it is getting a little bit stronger with Rico Dowdell. Did you know anything about this guy, Andrew? I knew they had Zeke, and everybody, was like questioning why they brought Zeke in. Zeke's pretty much taken second fiddle to this Rico guy. Is this a guy that's getting picked up in fantasy leagues?
Not gonna lie, I do have this guy on my team.
Oof.
And the only reason I knew about him was actually just kind of watching some videos early on in the preseason, even before that, talking about if he's available late rounds, snag him. You never know what he's going to be. Somebody has to run the ball for the Dallas Cowboys, and if they had nobody else in the room, obviously they trusted him. So you just kind of got to read that signal, I guess, and then I trusted what they said. So I have him on my team. He is doing very well, but bouncing back to Zeke, man, he's still a big guy for a running back. He's big-bodied running back. Does he look faster in a Dallas Cowboys uniform, or is it just me?
Probably. I think maybe you just think back to what he used to be. I don't know. I know with the Patriots, he looks slow as molasses with the Patriots.
Well, I mean, I think
But
I
he
had
didn't
the
get many
same
carries
thoughts.
he didn't
Well,
get
I
many
was thinking,
carries against the Steelers though.
yeah, and I was thinking I had the same thoughts about DeMarco Murray. DeMarco Murray looked fast, strong, big in a Cowboys uniform, and I forget where he went afterwards, but was just never the same player.
Was it the Titans?
I couldn't tell you. Titans, Eagles, something like that.
Eagles sounds right. I might be thinking of their most recent Tony Pollard going to the Titans, but yeah, that's a good point. It's something about those stars, maybe, those colors. We'll
I
talk about
don't
what
know,
jerseys
man.
they're going to wear later, but I feel like with the uniforms that they're going to, foreshadowing here, the uniforms that they're going with to this week might look a little slower. And maybe that's because of the Lions defense, but these unis they're not going to go with the traditional Dallas white and silver and stars and all that. It's not going to be
All
that
right.
this week.
Slow him down. I will say I am excited to get Anzalone coming off a bye. You know it. I'm full blown Fanzalone at this point, my man. I'm very excited to get him very healthy, coming off a bye, flying around the field for a prototypical non-mobile quarterback. You said it yourself. They pass a lot. I'm excited to let Anzalone run.
Let that boy rip. Maybe a couple, fringe hits that may be late. Maybe, toeing that line a little bit. Maybe some toes touching that paint, and he's giving a little shove out of bounds into that bench. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw that. I'm excited to see that and Brian Branch back. This is a guy that's been sorely missed. The defense did it without him last week. He's back. He should be fully healthy off the concussion and the illness. Should be nice and clean. And we love that. This defense fully together, which is what they need to integrate, if he's still not out there, unfortunately, but almost fully integrated, and Barnes out too. But it's an opportunity for this team, I think, on defense specifically, to show what they're all about on a primetime, or not a primetime game, but on a nationally televised game with Tom Brady in the booth, Fox, everybody watching, America's team, an opportunity to keep it lower scoring than what we've seen from this defense and get some stops. Terry on Arnold out there, maybe some last flags, and Carlton Davis and Rakestraw and all those guys and Branch specifically. Excited to see the hits that he brings in this one, and just excited to see what this defense can do. I'd like to see them challenge this offense that is Dallas, and Dallas turned the ball over 3 times against the Steelers. So an opportunity there for the defense to, I would like to see them generate two turnovers, whether that be interceptions, fumbles, or a combo of all of that, and try to generate some turnovers. But also, like you said about Dak, I think he only ran the ball once or twice against the Steelers. They had him well contained, but we know we know what mobile quarterbacks can do to this defense, and especially if that offense is struggling to get things going on the run and pass. Watch for Dak to try to run the ball to generate some first downs and get that ball moving down the field. And, we know what happens once that happens. They get a couple first downs. That defense starts getting tired. They can't cover as long. And, they nickel and dime. And then all of a sudden we're talking about Dallas in the end zone. So that's what we're going to try to avoid in this one. Hopefully with Anzalone, Brian Branch out there, they keep Dak contained and force them to throw the ball. Force them to run the ball, I guess I should say, and keep those playmakers off the field, and give that offense the time they need to generate points. It's and also a challenge to not get worn down and bend less than they have in the past. I'd like to see them hold the team under 20 points, and I think if the offense scores more than 20 points, we're rock solid. So we've got Mitch's keys to the game, Andrew. If you want to listen to them, unless you got anything more to add.
No, let those play. I'm going to feed the Murph man why he's spouting.
Parsons out means time for Goff. I like another big week for the offense with everyone getting involved. I'll take a 2-piece TD running back combo with a side of Laporta for 6. Throw a Tim Patrick Tutter in for dessert. Defense has to step up. Can't let Dak slice and dice like Geno did. Hutch can't do it alone. Let's see some blitzes to make Dak unformattable. Dak throws 2 picks. Lions win in the fake D.
Love it. Thank you, Mitch, from the outside there. As you mentioned, Parsons out. That's huge for them if that's the case. That just gives the offense no excuse there. Got to produce. I love the Laporta touchdown for 6. Need to get him more involved. Tim Patrick, love that. That's a sneaky one right there. Often flies under the radar for this team. Tim Patrick's touchdown, that would be great for his confidence and great for Goff too to establish that connection. He's right. Defense has absolutely got to step up and can't let Dak slice and dice, just like we both talked about. That's a recipe for disaster, recipe for points to be generated by Dallas and just wear down that defense. We can't have that. It's going to be a long day if that's the case. And the blitzes to make Dak uncomfortable, huge. Love it. 2 picks. You see that he's got Tim Patrick in a tutter there, Andrew.
Oh, that was the first thing I saw, mainly because the red squiggly underlines. But
yes,
I would love for him to take that step. I mean, we said it in the preseason. DPJ, this is your seat to take. This is prime you. Tim Patrick, take it, man. Nobody else wants to. Be the man.
Yep. As I just mentioned, huge for Goff, and that's confidence of Tim Patrick to get that connection established, and just an even harder cover for defenses if he's a weapon out there. So let's talk predictions. I've got the Lions here in a winner. A big win in the D, that is Dallas 31. I've got them putting up 31 against the Cowboys, only putting up 14. We'll get 2 touchdowns from them. I'd like to see the defense hold them strong throughout the game. 4 quarters from that defense, 4 quarters from the offense. Points come early from the offense, and a few more in the second half, and then the defense locks down throughout the game and forces some turnovers. We all know what happened in the last matchup. Controlled fury running through their veins. I'd love to see a whomping in Dallas for this team out of the bye. Good teams out of the bye. So defense creates some chaos. Offense bring the fire. Mitch, who you got?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Lions 35, Cowboys 24. With the Cowboys getting a garbage time touchdown late.
All right. He's got a similar score there, a little higher scoring than mine. He's going to take the over in that one, and he's got a garbage touchdown late, which honestly, I could totally see that happening. But we hope that it doesn't happen.
Shockingly, I'm going to come in a little bit lower than you guys. I got the Lions Uh-oh, spoiler alert. Winners over the Cowboys 24-17. I think Jake Bakes makes a late field goal just to kind of give some insurance to it. The offense is going to get that opening touchdown. They're going to get it done. Finally, get the streak back on track. But I think the offense is also going to sputter out throughout the game. So they're going to get ahead early, kind of hold on, sputter out, and then that defense is going to hold the game in check. And I think what Dallas is really going to try to key in on is Terrion in his penalties. They know that he's the most penalized player in the NFL right now. They are going to target him. Dak and CD are going to be all over him trying to get some cheap flags. I think if he can keep this in check, this game's a no-brainer. Lions in the bag. Defense gets the win late.
High-level analysis.
High level analysis from all of your handsome co-hosts here. That's a little bit of a big win there for the Lions. I loved everything that you said there, Andrew. And we're all talking about Detroit getting a win in Dallas for the first time since 2011. That would be a little bit of this. That would be. You'd almost have to go back to medieval times since the last time the Lions beat this team in Dallas. So we'd all love to see that. We've got the Lions here in a higher scoring one. Andrew, a little bit lower scoring there. I think you're probably right on track there, Andrew, with a lot of your predictions. And I would love to see that. Huge for the defense to get a stop and get some confidence and build on what they can build on. Shareholders, vote down below. Comment on TikTok, Instagram, on who you think will win this matchup between the Lions and the Cowboys. And on Spotify, you can vote in the poll on who you want or who you think will win this game. So let's talk about the 506 maps. Let's share my screen here and show you how you can watch this game if you do not have Sunday Ticket or some sort of streaming service that lets you watch things. We're not going to name any names. So Lions in the second window there in the 4 o'clock window. So in the early window, if you're looking for something to watch and you got the cable package, if you're in the red here in Michigan, you're going to get the Commanders versus the Ravens. Should be a sick matchup there on CBS. All around the world, United States here, you can see your respective areas here. Fox on your local Fox station in the 1 o'clock window. If you're in the red here, which is most of the Midwest and the West and the Plains, you're going to get the Cardinals at the Packers. So you're going to get to see a familiar foe in the NFC North there with the Packers. In the South, you're going to get Tampa and New Orleans. And in Texas and New Mexico and the East Coast, you're going to get Cleveland at Philly. And then late, if you're going to watch the Lions and the Cowboys, pretty much all of America getting that one. You know, it's going to be a sweeping red nation here with Detroit and Dallas, minus a little bit of Alabama there, a little bit of Atlanta, and then the Carolinas, of course, because your other matchup in that window is Atlanta versus Carolina.
Ben, is this game going to be labeled as the fight for America's team? I mean, we're prime election season here.
This is true. We are just, less than a month away from the election.
Of the torch?
America's team. People are saying, we saw how many people jumped on the bandwagon and were supporting the Lions in their playoff run last year. So I think you're right. I think if you polled the greater United States between these two teams, people are going to say America's team is the Lions. And no one in Dallas and no one in the state of Texas would admit that, but it's true.
And true American fashion, too. All-out brawl. Winner takes all here.
A little duel in Dallas, you could call this. Yeah, that's worthy of some, I don't know, maybe a little bit of this. We've got all these new sound effects. We've got to use them. We're paying for them. So commentators, we're going to talk about that just now. We talked about Tom Brady being in this one. It's going to be Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady. The A crew for Fox is going to be on hand for this one because it's such a big matchup. Your refs, you're going to have John Hussey and which is a solid crew. He was the same crew that did the Lions and the Chiefs last year. They did a pretty good job in that one. It's not going to be Brad Rogers, the one from last time in Dallas, so we love that. John Hussey, good crew. Cowboys are going to be in their navy blues, their alternates, and the Lions, we don't know yet. They're going to wear the white tops. of course, but we don't know what they're going to wear for the bottoms. Probably going to go all white, the icy whites. Wouldn't be surprised. That's their favorite. So we'll see. We'll see what happens for the Lions in that matchup. Let's shift now to NFL talk before we make our Week 6 picks. Andrew, I'm sure you caught this. The entire NFC North is above 500. Now, if you ask Dan, he says, essentially iron sharpens iron. He likes where they're sitting. He wants to play the best, to be the best. He wants a competitive division. But that's right. The entire North, that is the Bears, Lions, Packers, and Vikings, sit above 500. The Vikings undefeated. They're on a bye this week, so they're idle. Lions with an opportunity to catch up this week off of the bye and stay in stride with them. So, Andrew, you know the matchups of this week for the North, minus the Vikings sitting this one out this week. Fact or fiction, the entire North will still be above 500 this week, after this week.
Is that at or above?
So that's tricky because, yeah, if they lose, they'll still be 500 or better. Tommy didn't phrase this very correctly. Above 500, not at, only above.
Spoiler alert for the picks. I think I got the Jags over the Bears, but I think the Pack is going to hold true.
Okay. So Mitch and I both here sit at fiction. We've got some losses in there. You're going to say fiction too, it sounds like, but the Bears are your only one sitting at 500.
Correct.
All right. So, as we go on here in this season, we're going to start talking playoffs, but it's too early to talk about that. But raise your hand here, shareholders, who had the Commanders leading the NFC East, the Vikings leading the NFC North, the Falcons in the South? That was not surprising. They're tied with the Bucks. That's kind of how we thought that division would go. And then the NFC West, the Seattle Seahawks sitting at 3-2 lead that division. It's pretty crazy.
I would say the craziest part is the Commanders. They get that rookie quarterback, and he is on fire right now, and good for them, man. Just like the Lions needed a turnaround in the city, who else needed it better during election season?
Oh, that's an all-time poll from you. That is worthy of some
high-level analysis.
Shout out to Mike on that one.
Yes, that's right. Oh man. So speaking of the Commanders and the Vikings, though, man, like who would you rather play right now? And who do you think is more legit? Because every year this happens. We saw the Saints come out hot and now they're faltering. Surely the Vikings or the Commanders or both of these teams are going to kind of come back down to earth. But who do you think out of these two teams is more legit? Jaden Daniels and the Commanders or the Vikings with Sam Darnold?
I would say that my biggest feared opponent for the Lions specifically has got to be the Vikings. It's that deep field threat with Justin Jefferson. That guy is incredible to watch. He's fun to watch. And then they get Addison on the other side of him to give him some help so he's not constantly doubled. He can work his one-on-ones. I think he's a bigger threat to our secondary than Scary Terry is for Washington. You'd have to tell me who else they got. I believe they got Zach Ertz at tight end right now. He popped up again. Surprise, yes. On a new team. But yeah, I guess as far as that goes, because of the secondary, the Vikings scare me more.
Yeah, that defense led by Brian Flores, really solid out there right now. But in typical Vikings fashion, I was looking at their schedule. They came out, they beat the Giants week 1, smacked them. San Francisco in a tight one. Houston smacked them. That was probably their most impressive game of the year. And then Green Bay, they win a close one there, and then they win a close one in London against the Jets, which could have very well been a Jets victory, by the way. So in typical Vikings fashion, you flip flop the games they won in one possession or less, and they'd be sitting at 2-3. So. Not to take anything away from the Vikings, they're 5-0. There's nothing you can take away from a 5-0 team. When you're 3-0, that's one thing, but you get to 5-0, you can't argue against that. But you do feel like they're going to kind of come back to earth. But man, they're doing a good thing there in Minnesota. And spoiler alert: after the Cowboys, guess who the Lions have? They got the Vikings, and the Vikings are going to be coming off of a bye. So that's we're not going to look ahead to that just yet. But that's just looking into the hourglass, that's what's coming next. So hopefully the Lions can give that team their first loss of the year. That would be huge for them. We had Robert Saleh, It's pretty surprising news out of New York. First one to go. That team. I think what are the Jets 2-3? They're not like they're 0-5. So surprising there. And Aaron Rodgers today on the Pat McAfee show, of course, he says he had no involvement in this. He loves Robert Saleh. He quote said, "I love Robert." Andrew, I haven't believed anything that's come out of that man's mouth in a long time, but I certainly don't believe that he had no part in this.
This guy is a snake. I mean, and then the fact, I don't know if you heard the report that Saleh was contemplating firing Nathaniel Hackett the day before. And here we are with Robert Saleh making the exit. I was more shocked to see that Nathaniel Hackett was not named the interim head coach today.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy. Who did they name the interim head coach? I don't actually know.
Their defensive coordinator. I forget his name, but
okay.
I mean, you think about it, it's the strongest part of their game, so it makes sense. But I really just thought, given Aaron's history, he was going to get his boy a head coaching job, which is crazy.
It is absolutely crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make out of that game. They play this week against the Bills. Almost makes me want to take the Jets, but I just can't. I don't know. I can't vote for Aaron, and I feel like Aaron's going to have a future in politics, no doubt, just by the way he talks. So let's transition into our picks now. Week 6. We're 5 weeks in. So let's play the soundbite now for the picks, Tommy. It's time to make the picks. And right now we sit at 44 and 34 for Mitch. Ben sits at 45 and 33, one game apart there between Ben and Mitch. Andrew climbing it up back-to-back weeks above 500 for you, sir. Now you're 38 and 40. Another week above 500, you'll be above 500 overall, sir.
Congratulations.
That's nice. I'll take that congratulations next week, though. Save it.
Tommy cut the sound effect that was there. So let's make our week 6 picks. Let's shift over to the spreadsheet and do a little screen share on this. Your first one this week on Thursday in San Francisco. Nope, sorry, Tommy cut that. This one's in Seattle, in rainy Seattle. It's not going to be rainy in this one, but we're going to have a matchup between the two teams in the NFC West that probably have the best chance at winning it, the 49ers and the Seahawks. This one is going to be on prime on Thursday night. San Francisco coming in at slight favorites. Weather should not be a factor in this one, should be decent. And this one's a tough one, but I'm going to take the Seahawks, and Mitch is going to take the 49ers.
I think I'm still undecided, but I'm going to go with the home team on this one. I'm going to take the Hawks, and I guess I'll say mainly because Christian McCaffrey still is not playing the game of football.
A lot of talk about undecided voters this time of year, too, by the way. Take us to Chicago.
Where was the undecided voters going? Can we get back into that?
What do you mean?
Oh, is it just because of my pick? Undecided?
You said you were undecided, yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. We'll get out of there then. Jacksonville is getting the hell out of Florida, heading up to Chicago to take on the Bears in this one. Caleb Williams on a tear. He seems to be finding his own. I don't know if you saw the video of him testing the wind with his water bottle in last game. Good for you. I think the Bears are going to get dominated. The Jags are going to find their footing this week.
Mitch also takes the Jags. I've got the Jags here. The Jags play the most in the UK, overseas there. They're used to it. They get a win there in London, and this one will be on NFL Network. Don't know if you mentioned that, but I'm going to take the Jags. We're in unison here with the Jags. You're good, sir. I threw you off with the undecided comment. That's on me. Cardinals gonna go into Green Bay, into Lambeau. Watch out for this one. We've got rain forecasted for this one. It's 16 mile an hour winds. Could be a little sloppy there. That could be your super soaker game of the week. This one will be on Fox, just like we mentioned, 1 o'clock. This is what you'll see if you're in Michigan and you're watching on your cable. Green Bay slight favorites in this one, but Mitch and I both going to ride with the Redbirds out there in Arizona. We're going to take the Cardinals.
Yeah, I would assume you guys are taking Cardinals only because of Kyler Murray on the ground. I think this is, albeit he stays healthy, Josh Jacobs coming out game for the Packers. I think he is going to run all over this Cardinals defense. This, I've been trying to figure out what it's going to be. This may be the WFC game of the week here. We got the Indianapolis Colts heading over to Tennessee, taking on Will Levis in the Tighties. I'm going to take Tighties at home. Joe Flacco, I believe, is still taking the helm. Correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Ben.
Yeah, Joe Flacco is still in. Michael Pittman out, though.
And questionable on Jonathan Taylor if he's going to be a go as well. So all those injuries, I'll take the Titans here. And Mitch, I'll give you a breath here, Ben. Mitch is going to jump on the Colts bandwagon here.
And I'm going to ride with him there with the Colts. Colts 1-point favorites in that one. Texans going to Gillette, going to play in New England there, coming off of a win against the Bills. They come in as big time favorites here in this one. I'm going to ride with that team from Houston. Even though they don't have Nico Collins, I think they still figured out with the guy that is named Stephon Diggs, and they've got plenty of weapons to go around and beat a team that is the Patriots. I'll take the Texans. Mitch, going to ride with me, going to take the Texans as well.
Don't know if you said it. Biggest spread of the week. It's 7-point favorites for the Texans too. Over under sitting at 38.5. I think. Whoa, am I wrong?
Philly,
yeah. Philly 9. Did not see that. Over under sitting at 38.5. I would crank the over on this one. I think the Texans might do it on their own. I will also sit on the Texans with you guys. Rolls us in to a divisional game. Bucks heading into New Orleans, kind of had to retreat, get away from home field here, heading into New Orleans, taking on the Saints. I feel like you changed my pick on this.
I sure didn't.
I disagree. I am going to take the Buccaneers on this one.
Hold on. Let's look at the edit history. Wow. That's on me.
You did change it.
It says I did.
That's what I thought.
It says I did, but I don't remember doing that.
I was very confused. I'm taking the Buccaneers in this one. On the road, no Derek Carr. I think that's going to be your biggest deal in this one. And Mitchell is also going to sit right beside me, taking the Baker with me.
We're all riding on the Bucks in this one. I think you're right with Spencer Rattler at the helm for the Saints. I just don't see him getting a win in his first one, especially against a formidable foe in the same division that is the Bucks. It's going to be the Bucks in this one. We're going to have the Browns heading to Philly, the city of brotherly love, taking on the Eagles. Browns versus Eagles. This is your biggest spread of the week. Eagles with a 9-point favorite in this one. Mitch and I, we're both going to take the Eagles in this one. I think it's too big of a spread, though, and I'd love to see Jameis involved in this game and get our boy Washawn out of there.
Hey, hallelujah on that one. I would love to see me some Jameis in this game. I'm also going to sit with the Eagles with you guys, but that would be a pleasant surprise for this weekend. Some Jameis love. Rolls us into our red-hot Washington Commanders heading into Baltimore, taking on the Ravens. Short field trip for this team. I'm taking the Ravens, but yeah, I agree with you, Ben. Going to be a close game on this one. I think Lamar Jackson is playing some angry football, and he's determined to win some football games right now.
Mitch also riding with the Ravens. It's a three-peat for the three of us. We're all taking Ravens in this one. I do think it's going to be close. 6.5-point favorites, the Ravens in this one. That's disrespectful to a Commanders team that comes in with a better record than them. I know it's in Baltimore. That's a tough place to win there in M&T Bank, but still, give me the Ravens in that one. I think it's going to be close. I think the Commanders are going to have bulletin board material with that spread, and everyone taking the Ravens. But I think the Ravens, more experienced in this one, will be the difference maker, the experience. Rolls us out to the West Coast. Denver, Mile High, Broncos would at home taking on the Chargers. Chargers slight favorites in this one. This is your lowest over-under of the week at 35.5. That is college football level low, or high school football level low. Man, I've got the Chargers in this one, and Mitch is going to ride with me. He's going to take the Bolts.
Yeah, Chargers coming off the bye. We've said it time in, time out. Good teams win coming off a bye. I think Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert getting a little time to get healthy. I think they steal the show over Bo Nix. Bo Nix having a tear. I think he looks like the most complete rookie quarterback, so it's no slight to him. I think the Chargers are just ready to go coming out of the bye. We are just lockstep this week, fellas. Pittsburgh heading into the Las Vegas Roomba robot to take on the Raiders, who look pitiful right now. We got wide receivers faking hamstring injuries, trying to get traded across the country. I'm going to take the Steelers for all those reasons. They are much more ready to play football.
Mitch and I both with the Steel City in that one. They're going to take Pittsburgh. Lions, Cowboys, we've got that one. That moves us to the last matchup of the 4 o'clock window on Sunday. We're going to have a divisional matchup between the stinky Panthers at home against the Falcons. Surprised this spread is not higher than 6. I just feel like the Falcons are a no-doubter in this one. I thought the Seahawks were going to be a no-doubter against the Giants last week. Boy, was I wrong. So maybe I shouldn't put the no-doubter claim on this one and jinx the Falcons, but I'm going to take the Falcons, and Mitch will ride on that bird too.
Yeah, I think old Kirky is going to get a couple scores early in this one, and then Bajan is going to run this game out with the clock. I think that's just going to be all she wrote for the Panthers. Their season is looking forward to yet again next year. Rolls us into Cincinnati Bengals heading over to New York, taking on the Giants in the Meadowlands. Bengals, I think, need this game more. I mean, that's really all there is to it. The Bengals season is pitiful right now. If they do not turn it around right now, they miss the playoffs. That's plain and simple. The Giants don't look great, but I think they can pull it around. I mean, Washington is their biggest enemy, but Bengals here. Mitch agrees heavily. Bengals by 21.
Bengals by 21 seems egregious, seems a little bit like of a reach there. I don't see that one being such a blowout. I think that's a discredit to the Giants, but I do have a Bengals victory in this one. Moving us to ESPN and ABC on Monday Night Football. Bills taking on the Jets. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, got a new head coach. Saleh's not there anymore. We'll see if that gives them a bump for a week. Tempted to add the Jets to the win column here for me, but after listening to Aaron Rodgers today, I just can't take him. So I'm going to take the Bills, and Mitch is going to go with the Mafia as well.
I want all of those plastic tables to jump through this week. Give me the Bills with you guys. I think we are on watch. Instead of a Will Levis moment, we're on watch for an Aaron Rodgers moment. I mean, you remember the classic laying on the ground, chin strap over the nose. Looks like he belonged in a loony bin. We might get something similar to that this week. Be on the lookout.
Well, I'm sure you saw him in the UK with the with the Fortnite walk of the crawl. He was crawling on the sideline or crawling on the field. Looked a lot like the revive option in Fortnite. A lot of people making that joke. So that's a note too of that game. Coming off of an overseas trip. Long week for them to come back and play a little bit later there on Monday night. But still, that's your week 6 picks, folks. If you think you can do better than us, comment down below. This is a rare week for us. We've got 14 games in this, and of those 14 games, 11 of them we're riding together. That's probably never happened in Lions Share history, because we very rarely are on the same page, at least all 3 of us. So that's surprising.
That should be more scary for you two than it is me.
I know. I don't feel good about it. I almost want to make some changes here, but I'm going to ride with it. And, hopefully it's a good week for all of us, and we get a nice solid bump above 500, all of us. That's your picks for week 6. That means it's closing time, and we are going to get out of here. Like, follow, comment, rate, 5 stars, subscribe, everything. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, you name it, we're on it. And we appreciate the support of all the shareholders. And we will see you all on Sunday. We'll be back Sunday to recap Lions and Cowboys, and hopefully talking about a Tigers victory here tomorrow. So let's go Tigers, and hopefully on Sunday we'll have good news to share with you all about the Tigers over the Guardians and talking about them moving on. But nothing has been official yet. They're just up 2-1. There's still games to play. Nothing is official yet. That team's hot, but they've got to continue. They got to take care of business this weekend. So let's go Tigers. Let's go Lions on Sunday. We'll see you Sunday.
In that order, let's go Tigers, let's go Lions. Meow. Welcome to the fucking show.